Sorry about the brief interruption there. We are back. We'll let some people filter in. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is moving into downtown Indianapolis right now. We're going to turn on the velocity scan here, Matt. Matt is working on sending out the link on the BAM weather platform right now. Actually, a couple of spots now I'm seeing for wind gusts of over 50 miles an hour. I see a little blob here northwest of Coatesville. I still see the area right along I-70 with higher velocity signatures, 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts. And as we mentioned, for those of you that were watching earlier, there's the tendency, especially when there's a little bit of some dry air at the surface, there's the tendency for wind speeds to actually accelerate. As they fall down aloft, down towards the surface, they tend to speed up a little bit and be a little bit stronger. So, Michael says that it's much better now, and it may, if you're blowing it up on a big screen TV, it might have slightly lower quality, but it should be very crisp and clear now on the computer and on the phone as well. So, thank you, Michael, for picking that out, because it looks. On our end here, Matt, it's looked crystal clear the whole time. So I'm glad that we are able to do that. Hopefully, especially as this is approaching downtown Indy, people can really see the timing. Michael says it's full HD now, even blown up. So that's even more exciting.
Love it.
Let's see here. The app radar has a different radar for the next few hours than any other app right now. I don't think this is going to completely break up on the east side. This should continue to move to the east side of Indianapolis. So right now, what we are mainly tracking is severe thunderstorm warning that includes Danville, Plainfield, Indianapolis for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. You can see the arrival timing expected to be about 2:30 for downtown Indianapolis. If we turn on the radar, this is our local radar on the BAM weather platform. Matt, that's a little interesting little notch there trying to develop near Stylesville. Not seeing anything on velocity yet, but I want to keep a very close eye on that.
Let's take a look. Where's that at, Brett? Oh, just southwest of Indianapolis?
Yeah, just southwest of Indy, south of Stylesville. I'm not seeing really any outbound velocity away from the radar. You kind of look for the differing wind directions when we're trying to find rotation, and I'm only seeing the winds towards the radar right now. But there is a little bit of what we call a notch here, which can sometimes be a precursor to rotation. And so I want to keep an eye on this guy right here south of Stylesville. Right now, it just looks like elevated winds. But if there's any kind of mischief in terms of rotation, that would maybe be the spot to watch. So,
Brett, it's interesting if you go to the Tids airport, the velocity around 158 to about 202 did maybe show a brief moment of some rotation. So
yeah,
anyway.
I still see the little notch there as well. So we need to watch that. I see exactly what you're seeing. Yeah. As flying gets more and more organized, those little notches, those can produce the quick little spin up. So while we're not looking at tornadoes all along the line, while the tornado threat for the area as a whole is lower, there's still the risk that we could have a spin up or two along this line as it pushes further to the east. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. I know the team will be keeping a very close eye to see if there's any tornado warnings that need to be issued. To be able to get advanced alerts for those, be sure to scan that QR code in the top left, the BAM weather app. And right now, again, that is 20% off with Storm 20 at checkout.
Yep, absolutely. And again, guys, if you're enjoying this stream, you're finding it valuable, share it with a friend, a coworker, whoever, like, comment, all of that. We greatly appreciate it. So continue to watch this storm as it's moving into central Indiana as we speak. We'll keep an eye on any type of mischievous rotation threat. Brett, I don't know. Would you say I don't think right now it's worth
No,
it's worth a tornado warning.
I don't think so yet. I don't think so. I think it just needs to be watched. I'm going to get some more precise timing for the severe warn storm itself, because I think that the main line, was a little bit too fast, seeing some of the scattered stuff out ahead. So this gives you a little bit of a better idea of the strongest part of the storm. And like we were talking about earlier, it's between 230 and 245 for Indy, especially downtown, closer to 243 or so. Plainfield, 222. Clayton, it's right on your doorstep. Clayton and Danville, you're about to be in the worst of it. 212 and 210. So in the next 3 to 5 minutes, expect the storm to arrive there. And looking at the velocity, Matt, I'm still seeing the potential for 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts. And you can see as it approaches the radar here, pretty solidly all across this storm, 40 plus mile per hour wind gusts going to be possible. And then the strongest part of the storm, probably 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Still not seeing any rotation, Matt. There was that little notch there that had our attention and probably still should be watched. But right now, not seeing any rotation of note with that little corridor near Stylesville.
No. Brett, it is interesting, kind of well north of central Indiana into Michigan. Big severe thunderstorm warning towards Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo for 70 mile per hour winds. And we've been talking about that area in particular, just given the ingredients that are set up, where if there's going to be a spot, especially for those more prolific wind gusts, it would be in that area.
Yeah, I'll time this out because I know we do have several people that watch from up in Michigan. 55 miles an hour. This particular part of the line moving faster. So we've got Lansing at 320. We've got Grand Rapids at 230. Jackson, Michigan at 324. So this is a destructive storm with wind gusts of 70 plus miles per hour being possible as this moves through. So like you just alluded to, Matt, this is just the part of the storm. You can see how it's cleared out behind. So you've got a really, really strong low-level jet that's helping push these storms north and east. And you just have a little bit more room to work with, I think, up here in southern Michigan right now to produce damaging wind gusts in a more widespread fashion, at least.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, so when we talk about instability as a meteorologist, and we usually measure that in something called CAPE. Stands for convective available potential energy. You don't need to really know exactly what it's referring to exactly, but the higher the numbers, the more instability. And for instance, into Michigan, we've got 2,500 to 3,000 of that energy into Michigan. And for instance, Indianapolis, it's about 2,000. So about 500 to 1,000 more instability points, if you want to call it, further to the north. So it's got a little bit more juice to work with, so to speak. And Brett, it is interesting to note, obviously, that we've got the severe warning storm by Indianapolis, and I know you're looking at some of those storms further up to the north as well with those warnings. But it does look like just west of Bloomington, it's starting to fill in, continuing to intensify on the southern edge of these storms as well.
Yep. Yeah, I can see the train of rain heading towards Bloomington right now.
Train of rain. That's a good way to put it, Brett.
Yep. That is, I don't know. I've never thought of that before. Training storms, train of rain. That's exactly what
train
it is.
Train of rain. Yep.
Copyright it. Okay. Looking at the storm here for downtown Indy, right now, warned for 60 mile per hour wind gust. It's going to be approaching Plainfield here in the next 7 minutes or so and moving right into downtown. Still a decent little indication both on the reflectivity on the radar imagery here and on velocity for elevated wind gust, maybe starting to weaken a touch, but I don't think substantial. It's also getting a little bit closer to the radar, so we may be losing a little bit of some of the stronger velocity indications there, but still decently strong storm moving through downtown Indy right now, or about to move through downtown Indy, 233 expected arrival.
Yep. And again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I just don't want us to sleep on the flooding threat with this, as storms just continue to flare up behind this initial wave. looking like it could get pretty nasty. And I will say too, out ahead of these storms, Brett, there's still a healthy amount of instability. I'm looking at some of the latest plots right now, and there's a lot of it. So highly likely it continues to move east if you're out ahead of these storms in some way or fashion.
Here are some arrival times for that southern piece that's beginning to fire up more storms. Bedford 240, Columbus 326 for the arrival there. Shelbyville, you're looking at about 329 for that activity. North Vernon closer to 4 p.m. So still certainly going to see more storm activity fill in further down to the south in southern Indiana here over the next couple of hours. Somebody asking about Kokomo. Kokomo, you are right in the midst of it right now, I believe.
Yeah, someone just said, Sandy said, heavy winds in Howard County with rain.
Let's look at the velocity here. Yeah, you could make an argument that there should be a strong storm statement here.
Yeah, 40 to 50.
Yeah, I think that there could be a strong storm statement at the minimum. Probably Marion, Kokomo, and points off to the east. I would watch for some stronger wind gusts. You can see a lot of lightning as well. So I wouldn't be shocked if that particular storm moves through from Kokomo to Marion. If there's some wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. It Eric on our development team, he said in Danville he estimates about 45 mile per hour winds just north of Danville. So
right in here.
He's in that severe warning, right? Brad, so I've seen some questions about timing again. Greenwood, Connorsville. Is Columbus at risk for tornadoes this afternoon? It's non-zero.
Non-zero.
Not expecting a tornado outbreak. The risk is very low.
You sound
on a scale 1 to 10, it's a 1.
Yeah. It's the old what 2% day.
Yeah. Just started pouring in Lebanon. Yeah, looks pretty heavy out there for sure.
Looks like the team is issuing the strong storm statement up by Kokomo.
Perfect. So that's one of the cool things in our BAM weather app is you get the ability to get not just the National Weather Service alerts and for your location, but also our own custom alerts. So there will just simply be times where we think the National Weather Service needs to put out something and they haven't, and we'll go ahead and put it out proactively. And so we have the ability to do that. Brett actually, before the live stream by a couple hours, put out a pretty expansive flash flood watch, including the Indianapolis area, then extending southwest a little bit into western Indiana and eastern, southeastern Illinois for the flash flooding risk, which certainly, based off what I see on the radar right now, certainly looks like it's underway.
Yeah, for sure. You can see all the way out here. Still getting some questions on tornado risk. Guys, it's very low. It's not zero, but it's very low across the area. So there's the risk for an isolated spin up, but I do not expect there to be widespread tornadoes. And I wouldn't be entirely shocked if there's not a tornado warning at all, Matt. But the risk is still there as the line organizes. As you mentioned earlier, there's still some instability further to the east. If this line can continue to organize a little bit, you can get those little notches, you can get those quick little spin ups. And so I don't want to rule out the risk, but it's certainly not the biggest risk we're going to be dealing with.
Right. And gosh, I mean, you know, we have the lone severe warning in Indianapolis right now, Brett. The bigger story perhaps today with the weather, and you even mentioned this before we got on our live stream, is flooding may end up being the big story with this, at least around central Indiana, western Indiana, southern Illinois, right? That may end up being the big story. Now, certainly further north you are, the storms look healthy up into Michigan, northern Indiana. A little bit of a different story. It's going to be a little bit more progressive in those spots. The rain, the storms are going to linger less, but those are going to pack a little bit more of a punch consistently in some of those parts where I still, just given the ingredients I'm looking at, Brett, would not be shocked in far northern Indiana, southern Michigan, perhaps northwestern Ohio. You could get some of these severe thunderstorm warnings that are suggestive of near 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I know that's 60, but the one further north, yeah, there's the 70 there into Michigan. That includes Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. So certainly, if you're towards Lansing, a heads up. This could really pack a punch if you're out ahead of these storms into southern Michigan. So please be on the lookout for those. Please be prepared for those.
Yeah, you're getting some storms to fire off out ahead of the main line as well.
Yeah.
Just because I've seen a couple questions, this is not going to be done by 6 p.m. We will probably continue to see rain and storms all evening. The new HRRR model, Matt, that just came in might be a little bit better. Still don't think it's perfect, but you can see as storms arrive, we just continue to deal with them all evening long. It lingers storms until 1 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't stop.
So it's got a corridor here. I suspect it might be a tick too far south, but it's got a corridor of 3 to 5 inches just south of Bloomington through Lawrence County and down here northeast of Jasper. So west of Seymour.
Yeah, these the rain's not playing around.
So that was that new run. The RFS, which had been doing pretty well earlier, it's not quite as aggressive. It keeps things a little bit further west, but still has 2 to 4 inches in pockets. All right, let's go back down to this storm in downtown Indy. It is moving in now to the west side, hitting Monrovia as we speak. Velocity scans. Still not seeing any rotation on these right now, Matt, but some elevated wind gusts for sure.
And Brett, the outflow. If you've just tuned in, you may have missed our discussion on this outflow. That the old boundary from storms from the overnight last night into the morning hours of today. It just really has not moved into southern Illinois. That's why we're seeing just persistent storms flaring up into southern Illinois. I'm seeing some indications, Brett, looking at the radar, that some of the outflow is starting to sag south and east a little bit. And so as that occurs, that should help invigorate some storms a little bit further south of where the storms are at now into Illinois, and then getting into southwestern Indiana as well. So if you're in some of these spots, say towards like a Mount Vernon, a Princeton, perhaps even towards Jasper, Bloomington, Bedford, I know it looks like the storm coverage is to your north right now, but I would be watching for that coverage to expand over the next, let's call it 2-3 hours or so, as that boundary I mentioned starts to slowly sag south and east with time. Certainly, you could see the storms, they're moving from southwest to northeast themselves. It's setting up some training. So flooding going to just continue to be a risk even into those areas I just mentioned. Yep. Which I believe, Brett, in your flood watch you made includes a lot of those areas I just talked about.
I believe that it does. Let's double check, but I believe so. Yep. It sure does.
Yep. So I think that's going to end up panning out really good, Brett, your risk area.
Yeah, definitely in that corridor, I'm very concerned about flash flooding issues over the next several hours. This is a classic look for flash flooding. We get these maybe, I feel like, once or twice a year around here, where it just ends up setting up hours and hours and hours over the same location, and I think that might be what we're dealing with here.
Unfortunately. Brett, I'm not seeing anything, at least in my point of view, of any rotation with this storm by Indianapolis. That continues to have its severe thunderstorm warning.
I agree. Yeah, I don't see anything of concern at the moment from a tornadic standpoint, from a rotation standpoint.
I still see by Stylesville, Brett, some wind gust indications on the radar near 50 miles per hour.
Yep.
Again, you mentioned we're getting pretty close to the radar at the moment, so that may be skewing things perhaps a bit.
Did want to make a note real quick. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning up here further to the north, including Huntington, for the next hour, and that is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So Huntington, we have some severe storms working towards your area. We can turn on the Fort Wayne radar here. It'll probably give us a little bit of a clearer picture, and we can see this line of storms producing up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts right now. You can see that on the velocity scans as well. A couple of pockets in there of 50 plus on the velocity scans. They did issue a strong storm statement where Tyler had issued one earlier where we were talking about at Kokomo.
Perfect. I think that was needed.
I think it's still
Personally.
underdone personally. I think it could be up to 50 miles an hour. It's issued for 40, but shoot, some of the velocity scans here are 60.
Interesting.
Might be a little stronger part of the storm trying to develop there.
Brett, I feel like as this has gotten to Indy, it's almost slowed down, like right at Indy.
It has.
Which is only going to up the ante, right, on the rain.
Yep.
So
the slower it moves.
Yep. Still plenty of lightning in that storm just west of Indianapolis. I'm seeing all types of lightning strike with it still. Building a little bit south too. I could check the velocities, make sure south and west of Indianapolis. You know, Brett, towards say like Spencer velocity, I'm seeing some 50s show up. Yeah, you're looking at it. We may want to consider some type of strong storm statement ourselves south of the ongoing severe thunderstorm warning just west of Indianapolis, or including Indianapolis.
Let's not do blue. Yeah, I'd say through this corridor in here would be the next spot. Roughly, that may be big, but
yeah. I mean, it's certainly, Brett. I mean, to your point, it looks like the storms are moving in there. Any rotation concerns? Not seeing that at the moment.
No, I really don't see any rotation anywhere along this line at the moment. Even up here, when I was looking earlier, I didn't really see much on the Fort Wayne radar. I'm just not sure if the wind shear, Matt, is strong enough. Destructive thunderstorm warning to include Grand Rapids right now.
Wow.
70-mile-per-hour wind gusts here. Arguably 80. This is pretty close to the radar. Arguably, there's the risk of an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust in here. And that is heading right towards downtown Grand Rapids. If there was going to be a spin up, this would be where my attention would be.
Yeah, 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Wow.
70, yeah. 77. So what I love is how close we can zoom down in here for these folks. All right. So far, this warning has not been extended east. And Matt, from what I can see, I don't disagree with it not being extended east, at least for now. Could there be a strong storm statement is probably what I would do for the time being. It still looks decent on radar. It's not like it's falling apart or anything like that. But
yep.
And you can see some of the little curves in here, some of the little bows. So that can certainly help with the wind gusts as well. But To me, I don't see any extreme wind indications with this right now.
Yeah, I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, Brett, but the instability still looks pretty solid out ahead of this line. And so we'll see how things develop. Would not be shocked if we get another severe warning out ahead of us somewhere, Brett, as things continue to develop and intensify. And keep in mind, we're approaching 3 p.m., right? We're middle of the afternoon. That's when the daytime heating is the most prolific. We've got instability out ahead. It's pretty well established at this point across much of Indiana at this point. I don't think there's much really stopping this moving to the east. Now, eventually will at time, right? As we get into further east into southwestern Ohio, that's probably going to be the battleground, right, Brett, of the timing of the system when it arrives and it starts to lose a little bit of the ingredients in some of those spots. So for some of you folks towards, say, Dayton, I think I've seen a few questions by Dayton. It can that would be kind of the eastern edge of a strong storm risk for especially wind gusts at that point. Once you get much further east of Dayton, it should, I think, weaken substantially.
You can see how as it passes Richmond and mainly towards Dayton, at least on this sim, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it starts to hit a little bit of a wall. Whether it's Dayton or just east of Dayton, we'll have to nowcast that, which is why the BAM weather app will be very beneficial as we go throughout the rest of the evening on how far east and how strong those storms ultimately stay. So we'll be sending out nowcasts that address that over the next several hours. And so you can scan that QR code in the top left. Use Storm 20 at checkout to get 20% off, and you get to listen to my videos every morning.
That's right.
Listen to
Brett,
yeah.
Brett, can you move the QR to the right side of the screen? Is that possible?
Oh, I know why I didn't have it over there. It's because of the sim time, but we can move it back when I have the sim radar on.
Brett, let's go back to the radar and maybe give folks a timing. I've seen a couple questions about timing. Some folks are still asking about northern Indiana as well.
All right, I may do two separate ones. So here we go. Here's the Indy one for these storms moving through. 2:45 p.m. for downtown. As you noted, maybe it slowed a little bit. If we could say this is 38 instead of 40, delay it by a couple of minutes here or there. But working through Johnson County, 3 p.m. You can see Greenwood 3:03 p.m. Fishers 2:50. Looking further up to the north, Richmond 5:07, Connorsville 4:48. If we do put some timing onto this northern piece that has had the tendency to produce more persistent strong wind gusts.
Yep.
And let's make the color here red. And then maybe I'll do a separate one for Michigan in a bit. Fort Wayne 313. I feel like everyone I've done has been 313 or 316 for Fort Wayne. So timing's been pretty consistent up there. Auburn, Indiana 308 into northwestern Ohio. Defiance by 433, excuse me. And then out towards Decatur at 4 p.m. Further off to the north to the east, Jackson, Michigan at 4:09. Ann Arbor, Michigan at 5:06 p.m. So here's the current track for both the northern piece and the southern piece. And then again, I think especially along and south, it's going to be very difficult to time out because of the messiness of it. But along and south of this southern piece is where we're really starting to see the training of the very heavy storms and likely the flooding potential as well.
Yeah, that seems to be the target spot, right? For the flooding rains. Brett, it just looks nasty on the radar. I mean, not necessarily from a severe standpoint, but from just a lot of rain.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So taking a look here, zooming right in, we'll go back to the local radar. So if you have the BAM weather platform, you want to use the local radar, you can click the three dots on the left side of the screen, click on local radar here, and we now have the reflectivity and the velocity both live on the radar function. And we can see some gusts here on the velocity scans near 40 miles an hour, perhaps. If looking at the reflectivity, we can see this is going to hit the airport any second now. So moving right over the Indy airport. There's a ton of lightning with this, so I would assume that flights are probably going to be grounded here with all the lightning in the area.
Brett, I've seen a couple folks ask about Columbus, the Columbus area.
Yeah, you're
Kind of
just
this southern edge.
just outside of my
Let
just
me see if
outside.
I can.
Let's see here.
It may take a little bit more time down there, Brett.
I think so. The issue is these are moving even more northerly, like they're kind of like that. You almost have to overlap a little bit.
I mean,
Because that would,
Landscape Triple R Brett says stays mostly north of Columbus, and then it's like 5-6 or something towards for the storms.
yeah, but it may be a little underdone.
Yeah,
South and west.
these
This
aren't.
RFS I've been using would suggest it gets there by about 4:30 to 5. If you took this verbatim, 4:07, but it may be a little after that, if anything.
I mean, we've been using what, Brett? 30 miles per hour, 32,
30
something like
west
that.
to east. When I'm doing the southwest to northeast motion, I'm doing 40.
So if
38 on the southern one.
if 30 for west to east, Brett, you know, it's 34.7 miles out of Columbus. That would be, you know, a little after, closer to 3:45.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that southern peak is moving even more southwest and northeasterly than the other one. So its west to east movement may even be slower. Let me double check that real quick. I'll tell you. Yeah, I got about, on the southern piece, I got about 24 miles an hour west to east. So 34 miles an hour or 34 miles away.
You said 24 miles per hour?
Mm-hmm.
So 24, it's 34.7 miles out.
4 p.m. ish.
Hour 26. Yeah, it'd be around 4 p.m.
So Wabash. That's what he's asking about Wabash. Whether this stuff is going to exit out or not. You might get lucky up there. It's going to be close.
For the clearing out of the rain?
Yeah, because they're so far north. But I think rain probably continues there for you. But the storms, the main storms, probably set up south of Wabash.
I'm trying to get the Central Illinois radar to load. I'm having some issues. There's still some pesky rain, Brett, south of Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of some rain moving north of the storms in southern Illinois. So probably even after the main line of storms moves through, you know, through the evening, probably some light crappy rain, I'd call it.
I'd say for Wabash and up towards Warsaw, kind of in that corridor there, probably the main storms are out. Like you're not going to see the training storms south like we're getting, but pesky rain is going to linger around. But the worst of it probably stays to your south at 6 p.m. You're welcome. All right.
Brett, interesting. I don't see anything on velocity, but just kind of the notchy look just west of Carmel.
Let's see here. Yeah, I see it. Let's turn off the.
So as forecasters, we're looking for in these lines and these messy setups, these little notches. That could be our first kind of clue for rotation. But
We'll see.
on the rotation, I'm just not seeing much, Brett.
Yeah, we'll see if it sustains itself.
Just need some more scans to better diagnose.
We'll keep an eye on it. That would be if it were to produce anything, if it were to rotate at all. That's passing over 31 right now, and that would be working towards downtown Carmel. So we'll keep an eye on it. Right now, not seeing any real rotation with that. Does look like gusty winds though, Matt. Looks like some wind gusts of 40 plus miles per hour can't be ruled out.
And Brett, they just issued a special weather statement, including the Indianapolis Metro and East. Strong storm statement. Wind gusts of 50 to 55 miles per hour. So that's literally just below the severe criteria. I mean,
Yep.
We're talking when 58's that threshold. So we're just below it.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, you even mentioned that, a little bit ago, that would probably be the case.
It's moving over the airport right now, so we'll have a good observation here in a few moments on how strong the winds got at the airport.
Jamie, looks to be some hail southwest of that notch along 465.
Let's see.
Perhaps it would probably be small based off the way the radar looks.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much on radar scans. It would be very small. All right, let's go back over for a second. Show the sim radar idea. Time in the top right. I continue to check to see if any new HRRR runs are any better. I don't think this run's terrible, Matt. It's probably the best one in a while. It's still
The 17Z.
Yeah, it's probably still a little void in here, but
I think versus some of the previous runs, Brett, in my opinion, it's much more realistic because I don't think you can't convince me that there's going to be another well-defined line of storms that impacts Indy. But I can definitely see training of storms that just continues this evening in southern Indiana and southern Illinois.
So, guys, I think that this gives a good general idea of just how long storms are going to stay over the area. You can see the further south you go, the more time that you have before storms fill in. The further north you go, the faster things clear out. You can see kind of north of Fort Wayne, especially, you clear out. But along and south of I-70, we're just going to be dealing with persistent bouts of heavy rain and storms likely all the way through the early overnight. I suspect that maybe this is still hanging on to storms a little bit too long, but I bet this puts down a lot of rain. Yeah. I think we looked at this run earlier. But
Is this the 17Z?
Yeah, it puts down 4 or 5 inches just south of Bloomington. I wouldn't be shocked if that ends up being more through here, but it's probably pretty decent in terms of the general idea.
It may be worth, and if someone on my team's watching, it may be worth us to maybe even expand our flash flood watch, maybe just a little bit south, just to account for things just staying alive a little bit longer, a little bit further south along the outflow.
Yeah, clicking on some different models here.
Well, Brett, they just a new severe warning now.
Really?
Yep, east of Indianapolis.
Issue the okay. Interesting. All right. So That's for 60, so they just bumped it up by 5 miles an hour, I suppose.
Yep. Brett, I'm looking on velocity. Are you seeing 60? Maybe the airport radar
I'll check the terminal, but I don't see
or
any.
terminal radar. That's what I meant. They may have gotten a report. There's always that too, Brett.
Small branches, less than 1 inch broken.
Either way,
Yeah, TIDS is a little bit more, but I still don't see anything that would suggest 60.
very strong wind here in Westfield.
I mean, it's a
Heavy
strong.
rain and strong winds at 146 Gray, Westfield, Carmel. Yep. So folks in Hamilton County are certainly certainly feeling the strong winds out there. Thanks for the reports, everybody who's sent those in. We appreciate those. It's always good to have the ground truth.
Yeah, if I had to pinpoint an area, Matt, where I feel like probably the strongest winds are, it's near Carmel here. This looks to be where things are bowing perhaps a little bit. If you look at some of the velocity, and I see it a little bit better on the terminal radar, but I see more elevated winds on the velocity scans a little bit further to the north through Carmel and probably Noblesville and eventually Fishers. So this corridor in here, I wouldn't be shocked if that's where the locally stronger winds are with this warning. It's a pretty big warning.
Main concerns for fishers, it's just going to be these strong winds that are on your doorstep.
Yep.
Over the next 5 to 10 minutes, the storms will continue to move through. You're in a severe warning right now for up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So let's put a range on it, 40 to 60, just based off what I'm seeing on the radar. And then heavy rain. I mean, once it starts storming, it's just going to continue in Fishers for a good bit. So.
All right. So those are the main warnings right now. Yes, Matt.
Brad Simmons says the TYQ METAR gust 53 knots. So there you go, Brett.
There you go. That would be, let's do some quick math.
Close enough.
Close enough.
58 miles per hour.
It's 61.
Okay, there you go.
So yeah, thank you for the report.
Yep. Carmel's raining sideways, says Christina. Very strong in Noblesville. Yep.
And that makes sense, Matt, with what we were talking about, because that's at the executive airport, so it's kind of right through here on the north side.
Yeah, you can almost see it. It's almost like a little Boeing segment, Brett.
Yeah, some clearing out here too. So I would imagine that the strongest, again, as I mentioned before, the strongest gusts with this line are going to be right through this area in here. That's where I would say the highest potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts is going to be.
Brett, we just had a little blip there. I don't know if it did that same on your end.
I don't think so, but I wasn't looking at the screen. I had a couple other things pulled up.
Okay.
I heard it. Kokomo's starting to flood in alleys and roadways, and power lines are down, and lightning has hit trees here and knocked them down in multiple roads.
Wow.
So some damage reports coming out of Kokomo.
Brett, it looks like maybe another interesting notch by Cicero, Arcadia, northern Hamilton County.
Yeah, I still haven't seen anything on the velocities.
No.
It's like a special weather statement. further south still for Greenwood.
Yep. They just issued one there.
50 to 55 mile per hour wind gust possible. We'll let you know as it hits the office here.
Yep.
We'll let you know.
Brett, take your laptop out in the parking lot and let the folks.
All right, everyone. Live reporting. Send me out. Send me out there. I'll do it. Normally that's snow. I'll do that with snow. I like to set a good example for storms, and not do stupid things. Maybe a hurricane one day. How about that?
Yep. Oh gosh, Christina Best saying I'm a passenger, but we're driving down 31 from Kokomo. No one's going over 45 miles per hour because of the straight line winds.
Yeah, this entire line right now, it is looking healthier, I would say. It's looking healthy from Greenwood to Indy to Lawrence to Kokomo. Whether they're severe winds or sub-severe winds, they're strong winds regardless.
Yeah.
I guarantee you've got, whether it's 40 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour, probably all the way along this corridor here as it moves through, we've got 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, I would imagine.
Yep.
Let's time it out.
And we've been talking about, Brett, that there's just a good amount of instability out ahead of this line of storms. Now, back off to the west, there's just a lot of rain and lightning. And so, again, you got afternoon activities. You're in central Indiana. Just going to be difficult to get it in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Once this arrives, it's going to take its sweet time getting out of here. Let's get some new timing on this. So this would be the corridor right now, 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in central Indiana. So on the doorstep of Johnson County, Greenwood at about 3 o'clock. Fishers, it's on your doorstep as well right now. Anderson, you're looking at closer to about 3:15 p.m. And then further out to the east, Shelbyville 3:35, Louisville 4:02, and then Richmond 4:45. Fountain City 4:35, Webster 4:35. So this is the wide view of this line of storms, which we're estimating right now across the line anywhere from 40 to locally 60 miles an hour. The highest risk for those 60 mile per hour wind gusts in the severe thunderstorm warning, which includes Fishers, it includes Pendleton, Anderson, Marklettville, Fortville, over the next, 40 minutes. So out through 3:30 is how long that severe thunderstorm warning goes. So severe thunderstorm warning, highest risk to see those severe level winds of 58 plus miles per hour. Elsewhere, I still think we've got strong storm statements all across this line. Certainly the risk for 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So take it easy as you're traveling. Also a lot of heavy rain and lightning that will exacerbate the issues in terms of visibility and just making it difficult to drive. If you're out and about to get kids from school or you're leaving work, certainly be prepared for some heavy rain, gusty winds, and lightning this afternoon.
Yeah, William Clark, as far as the expired, the National Weather Service put out a strong storm statement for Greenwood for 50, 55 mile per hour wind gust. So I'm not sure what severe warning you were initially referring to, but regardless, still some gusty winds just west of Greenwood.
All right. New severe thunderstorm warning just west of Detroit as well. Just make a quick note up there. Do have a severe thunderstorm warning for 60 mile per hour wind gusts up there. And then this line still going on, 70 mile per hour wind gusts, a risk approaching the Lansing area very shortly.
Brett, that's a Grand Rapids right now, just a nasty line of storms.
Yeah.
Look at the nature of those velocity scans.
Jeez.
I'm not seeing anything rotationally, Brett, which is
no, I'm not either, which is good news.
Good, but it just has that look to it. The couple of bows by Grand Rapids. And Brett, there is a strong low-level jet behind those storms, and the environment looks still pretty healthy out ahead. So again, you're out ahead of those storms into southern Michigan. Be on the lookout for just some really nasty storms.
Yep, absolutely.
There is a new MD, Brett,
I
eastern
see.
Indiana to western Ohio.
I don't see a watch probability on it.
No, because because there's already a watch in some of the areas.
Yeah.
So
Well, regardless, that matches up with our pink shaded area here.
yeah, yep, very 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 much does.
I wish I could just share this traffic cam US 31 129.6 151st. The road is completely underwater. Hope, could you look into that? See if we can look at a traffic cam in that area or any reports. I assume that is up towards the Kokomo area. I think.
Yeah, we may be able to pull out some in-dot cameras or something. Any hail notice? Asked Rosie. I haven't seen a whole lot of hail reports, to be honest.
So this is moving right through downtown Indy right now. So strongest of the winds, I would say at this point, moving through downtown, Beech Grove, Warren Park, Lawrence, Southport, right on your doorstep right now in terms of stronger wind gusts. Fisher's right on your doorstep as well right now. Anywhere within this area, you're under the severe thunderstorm warning for up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I think in general, 40 to 60 is going to be the common theme across the warning area. I'm not sure every single spot will see 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but certainly a risk and going to create issues with travel and potential for some down limbs, down trees, down power lines. I don't think you're looking at destructive winds, if you will, 70 to 80 plus, but enough to cause some issues as these move through, especially on the north side of the Indy metro area over the next half hour.
Brett, I'm looking at the radar. Say for like folks in around Indianapolis, and I know there's of course a lot of you from that area watching. But looking at the radar, Brett, I think it's going to be tough to have additional severe weather.
I agree.
Later this evening, it's probably just turning into a heavy rain, persistent rain type of deal. The severe weather risk, I think, is going to be mostly confined to the leading edge of these storms as they push east. And there will be an easterly extent to how far the strong storms can get into Ohio. And then again, on the far southern edge of the training storms in southern Illinois and southern Indiana, as far as where the severe risk, I think, will linger into the evening.
It does look like our team has issued a couple of flood warnings here near Greencastle, or just south of Greencastle, Clay City, Jasonville, Gosport for the heavy rain that's ongoing right now already.
Yeah. And more rain coming too, right? It's not done yet. Paul, I haven't seen any reports of hail really with this. So probably not. If it is, it's probably small.
Yeah, and somebody's asking about rotation north of Indy. I'm not seeing anything. I do definitely still see elevated wind gusts. And here's near Lapel. I see 40 to 50 on the velocity signatures, but I don't really see any clear-cut rotation right now.
I don't either, Brett. I continue to scan up and down this line, trying to see if there's something worth noting along those lines.
I just don't think we have the surface to 1 kilometer wind shear is only 15 knots right now. You really want that to be 25 or 30 plus if you're going to get tornadic activity, even in this type of a setup. Surface to 3 is only 20 as well. So you just don't have a lot of wind shear right now, and so you do have a nice little low level jet, which I think is amplifying things, but you don't have a lot of wind shear. You don't have a lot of turning of winds with height. We don't really have a strong like warm front boundary to get more of a southeasterly surface wind either. The winds are out of the south southwest, and they're out of the south southwest at the surface, and they're out of the south southwest at the low level part of the atmosphere. They're at the south southwest at the mid level part of the atmosphere.
Yep.
And when you get that, you don't typically get tornadoes, but what you do tend to get flooding
Yep.
when you get the wind direction being the same all throughout the atmosphere. It's a very classic flooding setup.
Yep. 100%. And we're just seeing that. So Fort Wayne, severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds on your doorstep now for Fort Wayne. Same deal, Angola, 60-mile-per-hour winds on your doorstep.
Yeah, if, I'm going to turn this northern one off for a second so it's a little bit easier to see the velocity, but I definitely see here, there may be a couple of little notches in northern Indiana here. You can try to see. I don't think that they're doing much right now, but worth keeping an eye on. Certainly elevated wind gusts, several spots showing 50 to 60 on the velocity scans. So at this point, guys, just looking at wind and a lot of rain.
Brett, as far as if you're towards, say, Lansing, east of Grand Rapids, those warnings are still for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're watching and you're in the Lansing area, there certainly is a threat for some very strong winds.
Yeah, I'm going to time that out here real quick, Matt.
What do we got? Rain has started in Greenwood. Yep, and it's flights tonight. Going to be probably difficult, Beverly. When will it to Ocean, Indiana? I'm not sure where that's at, Jamie. Yeah, Stephanie, I think, as we head deeper into the evening, if you want to walk your dog in thunderstorms, I think it could probably at times still 30+ mile-per-hour wind gusts, Brett, and then flooding.
Yeah,
So it's not ideal to walk your dog in downtown Indy this afternoon or this evening.
Hey guys, do me a favor. If you have friends and family in the central and southern Michigan area, the Lansing, Grand Rapids, Jackson, Ann Arbor areas, would you tag them or share this with them so they're aware of what could be somewhat destructive storms moving into their area, 60 to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. So I just want to let folks know up there as well about these storms moving in. Oh, and there we go. There's a new destructive 80-mile-per-hour, Matt. 80-mile-per-hour destructive thunderstorm warning with this. So this is going to arrive, this particular cell going to arrive for Lansing at about 3:18 p.m. So 3:18 p.m., looking at a destructive thunderstorm. Looking at a destructive thunderstorm capable of producing 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. If we take a look at the velocity scans here, man, Matt, this is kind of crazy. Look at the leading edge here.
That's incredible.
Very, very strong signal for, there's a 76 looking here. So just very, very strong destructive wind gust moving probably issues with power outages as this approaches the Lansing, Michigan area. I'm curious to see some reports out of Grand Rapids soon. But a destructive thunderstorm moving through central Michigan, moving towards Lansing, Michigan here within the next 20 to 30 minutes.
Yep. So be very, very aware of that storm if you're into Michigan. Nasty storm. It's raining at the Vic. Certainly looks like it.
Yep, widespread rain moving across Marion County right now. Still have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the next 28 minutes. That includes Anderson. That includes Fishers. Fishers, you're kind of right in the thick of it right now. Pendleton, it'll be moving towards you in about 10 minutes. McCordsville, it's right on your doorstep right now as well. Let's see. I'm in Angola driving south to Greenwood. Should I pull over? Well, you have a strong storm, or a severe storm actually, on your doorstep right now in Angola. So it may not hurt to let the strongest part of the storm pass.
Brett, I'm going to hop off here for a little bit. I've got that other task I got to do. Once I'm done with that, I'll hop back on with you, Brett, if you're still on. Okay. So those who are watching, actively watching, you'll likely see from me again here in a little bit. But appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll chat here in a little bit. But Brett will stay on. It's just me who's leaving. So take care, everybody.
All right, guys. So just to kind of overview everything here, we'll step back for a second and we'll overview the entire system. So we've got two main areas, I would say right now. For those of you just tuning in, two main areas. We've got severe activity kind of on the northern edge. I'm going to remove these storm tracks for now and we'll redraw some in a second. So if I turn on our drawing tool, separate the two main areas right now. This corridor in here at play for severe storms, in my opinion. The main risk being wind. We do have, especially the northern piece of this in Michigan, destructive thunderstorms being possible, 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. You can see that orange polygon. So that's a destructive severe thunderstorm warning that includes Lansing, Michigan right now. Severe warnings are a little bit fewer and far between further down to the south, but I still think along this line, some wind gusts of 40 to locally 60 miles per hour are going to be possible as this activity moves further to the east. And then south of this, we'll change the color over here to green. We've got training of storms that are happening here in eastern Missouri, central Illinois, and into central and southwestern parts of Indiana. This corridor through here, this is where a flash flood threat is setting up. This is where I believe that we could see multiple inches of rain over the next several hours. And if we turn on the radar loop here, guys, we can just see that these storms are not going anywhere fast. They're generally moving west to east. They're moving over the same locations over and over and over. And so we've got a flooding concern setting up from Bloomington to probably just near Indy, Terre Haute, Charleston, Illinois, and then out towards Effingham. We already have some flash flood warnings that are in effect right now. Our team has put out some custom flash flood warnings as well. And so that will ultimately likely be the big story as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon. Right now, though, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now. Indy, Lawrence, Anderson, Greenfield. This is for up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts as this moves from west to east. Greenwood, you are under a strong storm statement right now, but certainly it does look like the strongest part of the storm staying just to your north. But heavy rain, lightning, certainly going to be impacting Greenwood around any time at this point. All right, taking a look at a couple of other things here real quick for you all. Give me one moment. All right, somebody is asking about Cloverdale. Cloverdale, you've just got heavy rain at this point. So Cloverdale, any strong to severe storms are east of you at this point. Cloverdale, you just have heavy rain and lightning potential, but I don't have any concerns about severe weather for Cloverdale. It's going to last in Anderson. Rain is going to last in Anderson probably the rest of the evening. If we take a look at the simulated radar out through the rest of the evening, guys, this is just something that is going to continue to be around the area. I do think the heaviest of the storms ends up south of you, but you can see on and off rain pretty much all evening. You're not going to see a big gap in Anderson the rest of the evening. Franklin, you are in the strong storm statement right now, so 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible as this line moves through into Franklin. Ooh, just lost connection there for a second. Wind is picking up in Greenwood by Worsville Road, and rain is getting started. Guys, I don't see any kind of rotation right now with this line. If we turn on our local radar, I'll show you what I'm seeing here. We can turn on the velocity scan on the BAM weather radar, and we can see just not really any notches or any real rotation, I would say right now that I'm concerned about. So here's the current radar. There's just nothing right now that screams strong rotation to me. I really think that as things stand, the tornado risk is very, very low right now. In terms of just rain, you've got your strong storm statement. That's probably going to last a solid 30 minutes or so in terms of you being in the strongest storm. But then rain and storms are going to last all of the rest of the evening. Like, we're not really going to see a gap. If we zoom all the way out here, this is what I'm saying is like all of this activity that's out of Missouri has to move through here. This is generally moving west to east. And so we are not really going to see a reprieve in this rain until we get late into the evening hours and into tonight. Let's see. April, can you help me? Where exactly is Bay, Michigan? I know my big cities in Michigan, Lansing, Jackson, Ann Arbor, Detroit, etc., but I'm not 100% sure where Bay, Michigan is. I can tell you that if you're in any of these yellow shaded areas, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. If you're in the orange shaded area, that is where there's a severe thunderstorm warning for 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts right now. So that is where the most destructive part of the storm is right now in Lansing, Michigan. When you get a severe thunderstorm warning that strong, that is the equivalent of a EF0, EF1 tornado. And so that needs to be taken extremely seriously as these storms are moving through the Lansing, Michigan area. For Canby at 7 p.m., we're likely to have pretty widespread rain and storms around the area. Yes, it is Boeing, Alyssa. So this is a very clear, what I would call a Boeing segment. You can see how it's curved like a backward C. Anytime you see that type of a signature, it's a very common setup for very strong wind potential. Similar to what we had here in the Indy area a couple of weeks ago when we had that 80-mile-per-hour severe thunderstorm warning. That was a very similar setup in terms of the Boeing segment that we saw on the radar. Bloomington severe weather threat. To be completely honest, at this point for Bloomington, I think the severe weather threat's pretty low for you. I think at this point, you're in a stronger storm statement. You could have some gusty winds, 40, 50 miles per hour over the next 30, 40 minutes or so. But in terms of severe weather, I think the severe weather threat beyond this leading edge is rather low for you. Bay, Michigan's up towards Saginaw. They're okay right now. They're well away from the severe thunderstorm that are in southwestern and central portions of Michigan. Martinsville, Indiana, guys, you were just right in the middle of very heavy rain and will likely be in the middle of heavy rain for the foreseeable future. I think at this point, downtown Indy, you are past the tornado risk. You are past any kind of risk for a tornado in downtown Indy. As we've been talking about, for those of you that are just now hopping on, the risk in general this afternoon for central Indiana for tornadoes is very, very low. And once this leading edge pushes through, that pretty much eliminates the threat, because at this point, all we're working in is just very heavy rain pushing west to east across the area. And so once the leading edge is past, that even low end tornado risk pushes out to the east. So downtown Indy, I think you're fine at this point. We'll keep an eye along this line as it moves through Anderson, Muncie, Greenfield, Newcastle. But at this point, the main risk going to just be gusty winds, 50 to 60 miles an hour. Yep, you're welcome, April. I can hear the heavy rain here now. Power out in Ellettsville. I will do a big timer graphic, guys, and give you all some updated timing. There's a new flash flood warning out here southwest of Effingham as well. I'm going to turn some of these special weather statements off here just to declutter the radar a little bit. We'll keep the severe thunderstorm warnings on. This line in general has been moving west to east at about 30 miles an hour. So let's time out the storms here. We'll do a new storm track west to east, this one rather than northwest to southeast. And we will have this move in this direction. Now, as we mentioned earlier, if you were with us earlier, we talked about how as this approaches Dayton, Springfield, Columbus, it's probably going to have the tendency to weaken. We're probably going to see some of the stronger storms and the heavier rains start to fizzle out along and east of the Dayton area. Now, right now, here's a look at the main line in terms of the timing. And right now, we just have one severe thunderstorm warning in the metro area, and that's just northeast of Indy at this point. This is working through Pendleton, so the strongest part of the storm at this point for some wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour in the Pendleton area, McCordsville. Eventually, we'll be approaching areas like Muncie by 3:34, Springport by 3:45, Newcastle at 3:56, and then further up to the east to Richmond at 3:54. So Anderson, you were right in it at the moment. I mean, it's on your doorstep in Anderson right now. Potential for 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Oh, wow. So Michael just sent me something interesting. Let me pull this up because I think this is important. All right, let's see if we can get this over here. I have to screenshot it. All right, so Michael found from one of the newer models, the REFS, which is the RFS's ensemble model. This is the 10-year flooding potential, probability of flash flood for 10-year event. So the reddish is 50%. So 50% probability of a 10-year flash flood in this red shaded area right now. So that's a rare event. Basically, that would indicate that you only get this type of a heavy rain event once every 10 years if you're in the red shaded area. So far southwestern portions of Indiana and eastern portions of Illinois, southeastern Illinois here. This is a pronounced flash flooding signal, I would say right now, and that would indicate a 50% or more probability that we could be dealing with a 10-year flood. So more rain than you typically get, or you typically only get that much rain once every 10 years. That's what the 10-year rain event means. And I believe it. Like if you look out on the radar and all the flood warnings that are already out here, we can see what the observed rainfall is over the past 3 hours. Over the past 3 hours, this is crazy. This is actually as of 2 p.m. So the last hour hasn't even come in yet, but there's already some pockets of 3 inches of rain that has fallen just south of Effingham. Could have a pretty bad situation here from a flooding standpoint as we continue to evolve throughout the rest of the afternoon and the evening hours. So high probability of flash flooding and potentially a 10-year flooding event setting up this afternoon and evening. Some street flooding in low-lying areas near Christian Park on the southeast side of Indy. Wind just started in southwest portions of Lansing, Michigan. If we zoom up here, yeah, it's on your doorstep right now. Still warned for destructive 80-mile-per-hour winds. This is right through downtown with the worst of this right now, right through downtown Lansing. Jackson is now also warned for a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust threat as these storms move eastward. All right. Thundering and dark in Franklin, Indiana, getting dark in Fairland. Morgan Monroe line, rain only, no wind. Yeah, you're kind of on the south side right now, and to be completely honest, I think at this point it is just going to be heavy rain and lightning, and eventually flooding concerns. We'll turn back on our strong storm statements here, see if we have any new strong storm statements that have bubbled up. I'm going to turn on dark mode and see if it's a little bit easier to see the stronger storm statements. Clicking around, you can see there's still several strong storm statements here. This one just south of Indy. Thank you. Needed to plug in, guys, because we've been going long enough that the old computer started to die here. So thank you, Tyler, for bringing that. Trafalgar just started to rain. Poor kids soon as they release from school. Yeah, it's really worst case scenario timing in terms of getting out of school, getting out of work this afternoon and evening. About how bad is it supposed to get for Bloomington, Indiana? Kids get out of school at 4. It's not going to get much worse than it is now for Bloomington. Just a lot of heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds, perhaps for Bloomington. 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts being a risk, but the main risk is just heavy rain and lightning, I would say, at this point for the Bloomington area. You can see some of the velocity scans, 30, 40 miles per hour in terms of some of the gusts, but likely not any stronger than that. And I really don't see additional severe weather potential behind this. We're keeping an eye on this main area up here. You can see, arguably, you could argue you could get a severe thunderstorm warning near Alexandria and Summit. Wind gusts of 55, locally 60 miles an hour here. But I would say that at this point, your main risk is setting up between, let's say, Gaston and south towards Greenfield in terms of the strongest storm potential. I would put the strongest storm potential, highest risk for maybe some gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour will be along this red line. And then you can see the times here as this activity pushes further to the east, arriving in Muncie by about 3:34 p.m., Newcastle by about 3:56 p.m. Muncie to Wabash, you are going to have a stormy drive for sure, maybe a windy drive for sure. Can you remind us of what the lightning bolt colors mean again? Yes, so the lightning bolt colors are time related. If I go over to one of my locations, I'll go over to the BAM weather location here, and we can turn off the nationwide lightning for a second. This shows you in the top right, if it's less than 1 minute, that means it's this bright blue color. The white color is the lightning is struck in the last 1 to 5 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is this lighter gray color, and then the darker gray color means that the lightning strike was 10 minutes or more ago. And the bigger that the lightning strike is, the more recent that it is as well. I also have these dashed ones. Those are cloud-to-cloud lightning strikes. So with the BAM weather platform, we can differentiate, especially for our schools and our events, the difference between the cloud-to-ground lightning strikes and the cloud-to-cloud lightning strikes. Another very valuable tool there on the BAM weather platform. Pendleton, it should be on your doorstep. You are in it right now. Could see some wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour, up to 55 miles an hour. It does look like they dropped the severe thunderstorm warning. So they did drop the severe thunderstorm warning. I don't disagree at this point. If we turn on the velocity scans, I still think that there could be some wind gusts of 50 to locally 55 miles an hour. Honestly, if there's a spot that I'd be watching for some kind of a elevated wind gust concern, 50 to 55, locally higher. Alexandria, Summitville, Gaston, kind of along and north of Muncie, there are some elevated wind signatures on the velocity scans right now. So at this point, guys, these are all just strong storm statements. We've got strong storm statements across the board for 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts as this line of storms moves through. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning along and south of Fort Wayne right now. You can see that for 60 mile per hour wind gusts. That includes Bluffton and Decatur. And some pretty nasty winds, I'd say, kind of up towards Angola and Auburn. Locally 60, 65 mile per hour wind gusts with that. And that has prompted a new severe thunderstorm warning into northwestern portions of Ohio. Somebody said tornado possibly along 69 Banksburn. To look up where that is exactly. I've not seen any rotation, but straight line winds can certainly produce a lot of tree damage as well. So we'll work to verify that here in a moment. Hope, if you are watching, if you see any reports of damage or trees down or anything like that, I'd like to go back and confirm. Little skeptical of tornado potential, but definitely the straight line wind gusts for sure. Looks like some elevated wind gusts moving through Greenwood right now, 30, 40 miles an hour. Just hear the lightning here. All right. So guys, I'm going to continue to let these storms move east out of downtown. As these move east and they start to expire, if we don't have any new warnings, we'll probably let some of these storms go through the Fort Wayne area and then start to wind down the live stream for now. Because I think really at this point, it's heavy rain. Heavy rain is going to start to just be the main concern. So for those of you asking on the west side, Ellettsville, Bloomington, Martinsville, Mooresville, I would say at this point in terms of wind potential, you could still have some wind gusts in storms of 30 to 40 miles an hour, but severe weather risks have passed. The risk at this point, just storms and heavy rain. And I want to show you here the latest simulated radar from some of the data. Let's see, this is the latest run of the HRRR model. Let's see how it's doing. It's probably doing pretty well. It's not perfect, but probably doing pretty well. For those of you asking how long, Austin, yeah, feel free to drop in wind reports in the comments here. We'd be happy to address those. But taking a look at the simulated radar as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening, it's just going to keep storming. And so, I think somebody asked about Martinsville earlier. It's probably going to storm in Martinsville until 11 p.m. Probably going to have storms there until 11 p.m. Probably going to have storms in Bloomington until 11 p.m. to midnight or so. Latest run here of the model indicating a corridor of 2 to 4 inches of rain. This is right where we issued our BAM flash flood watch earlier today. And I don't disagree with that. I really think that this corridor is in a bad spot in terms of getting locally 2 to 4 inches plus of rain as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening hours today. So that is becoming the biggest threat, I would say, for the rest of the evening. And could be some localized heavier streaks up towards the Indy area and Kokomo as well. Boone County Line Road and 216th Street with spectacular torrential rain, side winds, and claps of immediate thunder. Bravo, Mother Nature. Raining hard in Anderson. The QR code is, oh, I see the QR code in the top right on the sim. My bad. Let's move that over. I'll show you the sim again. Hope says to blame her. That's okay. I made a mental note to move it back when I did that, and I didn't. So that's my fault. Taking a look. So this is the sim radar. You can see the times there in the top right. And it's just a persistent wave of storms as we go throughout the rest of the evening. I just don't see a wind down of this. And it's why we're so concerned about the flash flooding potential. Once storms are locked in, they're going to hang around for pretty much the rest of the evening at this point, I would say. All right, still dealing with some gusty winds with some of these stronger storms near Anderson approaching the Muncie area. We do have a new strong storm statement that is for the Muncie area. That includes Anderson, that includes Middletown, Springport, all the way down towards Knightstown. This goes out through the next 33 minutes, so out through 4 p.m. That's for wind gust of 40 miles an hour. Not really seeing any hail with this, and I think that at this point pretty much is going to be the main risk, just wind. All right. Franklin, just pretty much heavy rain at this point for Franklin. You are under the strong storm statement. That is about to expire, though, and based off what I see on radar, I do not expect that to be expanded. Rush County, we'll still be seeing these storms move in here shortly. I'll do another big timing graphic for you all to see the latest timing as this moves east. We'll do a big one spanning from Fort Wayne all the way down through southern Indiana. So if you all have not had a chance to try this out, the storm tracking tool on the BAM weather app, we just added. Our dev team did a fantastic job, got the velocity scans that I've been showing you over the past couple of hours on the BAM weather app. And we do have that 20% off discount right now for our home subscription. Plus, if you missed it earlier, Michael came in with a couple of hats. And if you sign up for the BAM Weather Home Premium subscription, you'll have a chance to win one of the really, really cool BAM Weather hats. I need to see what Michael can do to get me one of those, because I too am a fan of hats. I actually just got my finally my IU Rose Bowl hat not that long ago that I wore all weekend long. I will probably be wearing tournament and national championship IU gear. Well, it's just the rest of my life, but certainly probably until at least the next season starts, and we can hopefully add some more merchandise with this next season. So here's a look at the timing of this line as he's generally moving west to east at about 30 miles an hour. Hi.
You asked for a hat.
Oh, you got the hats.
Which one would you like?
Oh, you're giving me one.
Brett.
Oh, wow.
Brett is gifted a hat today.
I want the black one.
Yep, black.
The black.
Pull that bad boy up so they can see it real quick.
Look at that.
Expand your
Oh, yes.
your view here, Brett, so they can see it.
Look at that.
Yeah. So if you do sign up for a what is it? What did we say?
It is the BAM Weather Home Premium subscription.
BAM Weather Home Premium
Yes, the
subscription. We will mark you down to win a hat.
There you go.
They're not for sale yet, but we spent a lot of time.
These are
and they fit very, very well. I'm a hat snob, so we spent a lot of time coming up with the best fitting hats. They're stitched. They're big. These are nice. These are nice hats.
They're very nice.
And I'm giving Brett the black one.
That is so nice of you.
Yeah.
I better help win the golf scramble next week.
Yeah, that's. Brett,
Is it going to be taken away?
if Brett doesn't help with the golf scramble, you may not see him on the lives again. I'm kidding. Which, by the way, if you do go to golf.bamwx.com and you want to play in our scramble or sponsor it next week,
Still have some openings.
we
don't
got some openings. It's next Thursday. We'll be out there golfing, so check it out. golf.bamwx.com. Get a home premium, win a hat. See you later.
You love me today.
I do. Yeah, I mean, I figured you could wear it.
Yeah, I'll wear it on the
Yeah.
stream.
All right.
Matches. All right. Look at that. What a nice guy. And it matches my black today. I knew it. I have my black BAM, wrong one. Black BAM North Face on. We have our webinar, by the way. We have our webinar too. While we're sending you all links, we do have our webinar on Wednesday for the summer outlook as well. So I saved my fun new blue BAM shirt for the webinar on Thursday, or excuse me, Wednesday. So that's at 11 a.m. So if you want the summer forecast and whether this active pattern is going to continue, Matt and I will be presenting that on Wednesday at 11 a.m. at bamwx.com/webinar. But I know I love this. This is I owe Michael maybe a bottle of Sweet Marcella from or the blackberry whiskey from Huber Winery and Starlight Distillery down there. He loves that. I'll have to go do that. We may do that for our anniversary here in a couple of weeks, my wife and I. So, all right, guys, let's summarize things here. At this point, we have no more severe thunderstorm warnings in the Indy metro area. We do have a strong storm statement. That includes Anderson and Muncie, and that goes out through 4 p.m. These storms are right on the doorstep at this point of Muncie, 3:36 p.m. So in the next 5 minutes, going to be impacting the Muncie area. This initial light rain about to impact Shelbyville, but the strong storm statements on the south side at this point have expired. We do still have that in effect for far northern portions of Johnson County. There's a strong storm statement for 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Taking a look at the velocity scans, I certainly do still see why there's a strong storm statement here from Greenfield to Anderson. I definitely think some gusty winds are going to be possible as this moves through, along with heavy rain and lightning. And you can still see, even if we turn back our nationwide lightning on, even after the main line of storm, so to speak, passes, look at all the lightning. And I can hear it here at the office. There is a ton of lightning with this. So even though these are not severe at this point, and most of them are not strong, a lot of very heavy rain and a lot of lightning still to come for the rest of the evening hours. At this point, your strongest storm risks are moving into eastern and east central portions of Indiana, Muncie to Decatur, and then east of Fort Wayne at this point. Your main strong storm risk. I do want to check back in real quickly with Lansing, because the core of this storm now moving through Lansing, Michigan. If we take a look at the local radar here on the BAM weather platform, we can turn on the Grand Rapids radar and we'll take a look to see what the current velocity indications are for Lansing, Michigan. So taking a look here at the velocity, man, this is still an extremely powerful storm here. So moving through Lansing and then up further to the north, I wouldn't be shocked if they expand this destructive severe thunderstorm warning further north and east. In fact, I think they probably need to eventually out towards Ashley, Oakley, and St. Charles. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning. So this one, for the person that was asking about Bay City earlier, this now is a severe thunderstorm warning for Bay City. So now severe thunderstorm warning that includes Saginaw, Bay City, and Auburn. That is for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. All right, moving back down to the south into central Indiana. Taking a look here. Once this strong storm statement, if I don't see any additional intensification with these ongoing severe warnings and the strong storm statement, will probably start to wrap this up, because the severe weather threat continues to lower at this point, I would say. These warnings are for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then we have strong storm statements further down to the south to include Muncie, just to the west of Newcastle. You can see we're on the doorstep of Muncie at this point. Pendleton, somebody asking about Pendleton. You can see here still some stronger storms moving through that area, but starting to exit with just a heavy rain and a lightning risk beginning to fill in. Tipton, Indiana, the worst of it's definitely past you at this point, just rain. I want to move down real quick because I want to look at some of the flooding. So all of these green shaded areas, we have flooding signatures or flood warnings, flash flood warnings showing up on the radar, whether issued by our team or issued by the National Weather Service. And I'm very concerned that we could see some extremely heavy, we've got some extremely heavy rain setting up here right now, guys. We go back to the nationwide radar real quick. I'm going to turn off some of the strong storm statements. I want to highlight an area once again in terms of the heaviest rain. I really think we can use our drawing tool here on the BAM weather platform. Really think that this area could see several inches of rain setting up here over the next several hours. And so Terre Haute, Bloomington, out towards Effingham, Illinois, just north of Vincennes, probably the heaviest just south of Terre Haute, but I would even say up towards Greenwood. And we just got an alert, flood warning in Johnson County. So at this point, guys, a corridor of flooding is setting up. And I think that we really need to take this seriously as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon and the evening hours. You put down 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in a short amount of time, especially in some of these areas that are more flood prone, like Bloomington, like Franklin, Indiana. We need to be aware that there's probably going to be some flooded roads, some flooded creeks, some flooded rivers. And so those flood prone areas, avoid those tonight. Don't be out and about, especially after dark, when it's harder to see flooded roads. And important to keep in mind that a foot of moving water can sweep away a car. It does not take very much. So turn around, don't drown. No concerns at this point for Franklin or Shelbyville from a tornado standpoint. I think we are good. Here's timing further to the east. You can see a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings still issued in northwestern portions of Ohio. Beginning to exit out of Indiana, we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning that includes Decatur, and that goes out through the next 22 minutes, so out through about 4 p.m. 465 is flooded on right lane just before Harding Street and 69 exit. And guys, by the way, even after we hop off the live, we will still be sending out nowcast updates and specific flood warnings if we think that they're warranted on our BAM weather platform all evening long. This is a nowcast that it looks like meteorologist Jacob Wagner was working on. So we are sending these out on the platform. If it's a severe thunderstorm warning, you will get a push alert for it. If it's not a severe thunderstorm warning, you can just go right into the BAM weather app and go to the Now tab. You'll see a blue banner. We can actually go and we can look here at the blue banner. And we can click on Nowcast. You can see this was the older one, so he's replacing it likely right now, or maybe this one's going a little bit further to the west. But you can click on that blue Nowcast active banner, and you can see these more expanded details in terms of arrival timing, risks, impacts, and things like that. And so that'll be something that our team is working really hard on for all of you all that are subscribed to the BAM weather app for the rest of the afternoon and evening, and tomorrow as well, because I do think that there's another risk for a strong to severe storm or two across the area tomorrow afternoon and evening. And so want to be sure to scan that QR code, 20% off. Hope can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this is just a short-term thing. This is not going to be something that is ongoing throughout the week. So take advantage of it while you can. 20% off BAM Weather Home subscriptions. You can scan that QR code and use the code STORM20 at checkout to get 20% off. And then, of course, as Michael mentioned, you can get a really awesome BAM Weather hat if you do the premium version of the BAM Weather app and you sign up for that. So we will pick a winner with that after today is over, I assume. So let's see here. Yeah, 465 flooded on right lane just before Harding Street and 69 exit. I saw that from Dustin. Flooding potential in Ohio. You know, I think that the worst of the flooding potential will stay just to the west of Ohio. We take a look here. This is, again, the latest run of the HRRR. You can see that storms hit a little bit of a wall as they work into Ohio. I think that flooding concerns probably stay more so into southern and central portions of Indiana. Fairland timing, taking a look here. Let's see. I just had you on my map here. You're just east of Shelbyville. There we go. You've got probably 20 minutes or so, 20, 30 minutes or so before the worst of it arrives. Let's turn our watches off here. Turn our statements back on. And I'm going to back out. So here's our view right now. I'll put some timers on this for arrival into Ohio real quick. By the way, thank you all for hopping on. I appreciate all of your support and for watching the stream. Really, really appreciate it. For all of you that have signed up today for the BAM Weather app, we really appreciate it. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching and obviously trying to do whatever we can to keep people safe with strong to severe storms and inclement weather in general. So here's the latest timing graphic as this activity continues to push further to the east. 0Z is the favored model, Jacob says. So this activity continuing to push to the east. Again, I think that as it pushes towards Dayton, Springfield, Columbus, it does start to lose a little bit of its punch. It starts to weaken a little bit as it moves further off to the east. Rushville, 7 p.m., you're likely going to have widespread heavy rain in the area. Jennings County, this will likely start to impact you closer to about 5 p.m. That'll be when storms arrive for Jennings County. Will we see any blue sky today in between the storms? I do not believe so. I think blue sky is over for the day today in central Indiana. There may still be a little bit in southern Indiana, I would imagine, maybe back northwest and northwest Indiana. But if you're in central Indiana, rain is what you are going to see for the rest of the day. Richmond, Indiana timing, looking at 4:57 p.m. based off of our latest speed and progression here. Columbus, it's on your doorstep. The rain is on your doorstep in Columbus at this point. So guys, again, be sure to scan that QR code to sign up, download the BAM Weather app. 20% off. It's a great deal for the middle part of May. Indy 500 special, storm special. Of course, it's Indy 500 week, so we have to have widespread rain and storms in the area. It's a tradition, right? And it does look like, preliminarily, guys, it does look like we could have some issues on race day from a rain standpoint, at least. So it's going to be a busy week. We've got more rain and storms tomorrow. Wednesday, Thursday, first half of Friday is pretty quiet, and then it looks like much of the Friday evening hours and into Saturday maybe a washout. A lot of rain in the forecast as we head into the weekend. We'll keep an eye on the timing of the exit of that for Sunday. There's still some differences there, but may have some issues with race day weather. Bedford area, storms are on your doorstep right now as they move in, mainly just heavy rain and lightning concerns. We'll turn the lightning on there. You can still see frequent lightning as this moves through. Tornado threat for Greenwood tomorrow, it is low. I would say once again tomorrow is mainly going to be a hail and a wind threat, probably especially a wind threat. We can click here and look at some of the latest data. I'm not sure if I love this model. I'm going to go back to a couple of different models here. So this is a look at tomorrow. We can see storms spreading across the area, very messy in nature tomorrow. It's not quite like today. In terms of tornadic potential, there's just not much wind shear tomorrow. What I'm looking at here is what we call an atmospheric sounding or a skew-T diagram. Gives me a look at what the whole atmosphere is doing, and I'm looking for a change in wind direction with height, and we just don't really see that. We don't have a lot of wind shear, and so I think tomorrow main risk will be hail and wind. Low end, I would say it's not zero, but it's very, very close to zero in terms of tomorrow. Nope, not a tornado producing storm right now anywhere across the board. Paoli, Indiana. Paoli, you're a bit south. So you're looking at this activity further out here, out towards Princeton. You can see this first initial wave is kind of going to be missing you. Let me speed that up so it's a little bit easier to see. So for you, if we take a west to east movement at 30 miles an hour roughly, let's do a new track. You're looking at this activity pushing in closer to 5:30, I would say. Louisville, it's going to be closer to 7 p.m. or even after that. And I think the risk is this slows down, if anything. There's going to be the tendency for the heaviest rain to set up here across central Indiana, just north of Paoli. Oh, you're good. That's why I'm here, Cheyenne. No worries. All right, let's take a look at some of the velocity scans, and then we may start to wrap this up in a few moments, because at this point, we just have the one severe thunderstorm warning and the one strong storm statement. And then after that, I believe that the severe weather or the strong storm part of the system will be passed. I just don't see a major concern beyond what's going on right now. So there's definitely still some gusty winds, I would say. You can see here near Greenfield. So still some winds, maybe 40, 50 miles per hour, I think, moving towards the Greenfield area. So if you're in Greenfield, if you're just east of Marion County, there's still some gusty winds. These storms can still pack a little bit of a punch, but we're not looking at destructive winds or anything like that at this point. Muncie could be seeing some wind gusts 40 to locally 50 miles an hour. For Morgan County, the rest of the night is going to be frequent, very heavy rain. Frequent heavy rain for Morgan County is going to be the main concern the rest of the night. Flooding potential. Yeah, from a severe weather standpoint, the main risk is just wind. Some strong wind gusts. We do still have this one severe thunderstorm warning that's just south of Fort Wayne. That expires in 12 minutes. Looking at the radar here, I would say that one will probably be allowed to expire. And then meanwhile, further up to the north, Grand Rapids here, we'll look at that radar. Look at the winds with this. Probably widespread wind damage ongoing up here across central portions of Michigan right now near North Star, St. Louis. Let's see, this is the State Road 127, probably widespread wind damage going on. Eventually, this will be working towards Saginaw and Bay City, Midland, and Auburn over the next 30 to 40 minutes or so. 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts in there. Early forecast for Christmas. Well, you're asking the right guy. If you all have the BAM Weather app, you'll know that I am the one that does the long range video most of the time and the long range outlooks. And the early indication for this winter is that it would be a very warm winter, which is not going to make some of you very happy. But strong El Nino years tend to be very warm, especially around Christmas, especially in December. Sometimes you can get some sneaky shots. Now, there's a new severe thunderstorm warning. So that's kind of where we were talking about some of the more elevated wind gusts in there that was showing closer to 55 mile per hour wind gusts. And so that doesn't entirely shock me. We can see here most of this in here looking to be more in the 45 to 55 mile per hour range, but I believe they issued this out of an abundance of caution, maybe some wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. So we'll hang on here as this storm continues to push eastward, Greenfield, Wilkinson, Kennard, with this being on the east side of the Indianapolis metro area. I know, the warm winter. I'm sorry. I gave you a cold, snowy winter this past year. I can't do it 2 years in a row. That would go against the rules. It's rained on Christmas for like the last decade. Then we get 3 feet of snow 2 days later. Yeah. We have not had good Christmas snowstorm luck as of the past 10 years or so. Franklin, Indiana, Johnson County at this point, just looking at heavy rain. I am going to, you can see here, back this out. Newcastle, this leading edge arriving closer to 358. I will say this notch is kind of a little bit further back, so I'm going to do a separate storm track on this. We'll do a different one to track the severe thunderstorm as it pushes eastward. So arrival timing in terms of strong to severe winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour. 3:57 for Wilkinson, Kennard 4:07 p.m., Charlottesville 4 p.m., Knightstown 4:08. If it continues out east of the current severe thunderstorm warning, you're looking at Newcastle at about 4:23 p.m., Spiceland at 4:17, and then out further to the east, Hagerstown closer to 4:50 p.m. So this is a look at the timing as this strong to severe storm moves east. The main risk being here 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. South and east of that, you can just see it's very messy. A lot of rain, a lot of lightning, going to be flooding risks, but your main severe risk at this point is just this one storm that's heading towards Wilkinson and perhaps eventually Newcastle, Indiana. Cincinnati, it'll be later this evening. I think last I checked, it was going to be closer to 6:30 or 7 o'clock. If you're just now tuning in, 20% off the BAM Weather Home subscriptions right now. You can use the Storm20 code at checkout. You can scan that QR code in the top left or go to bamweather.com/sign up. And if you do the premium version, you can win a BAM hat that Michael so kindly gifted me earlier. So BAM weather hat. And Hope, if you want, and there are some notes, when you click on the link, scan the QR code, the differences between the home basic and the home premium, but there's a lot of really cool additional options available on the home premium version of the BAM weather app as well. So I'm talking about snow. Also, this storm didn't bring a cold front, did it? Is that why it's not problematic for tornadoes? In terms of this particular storm system, the low pressure system is there is a front. It's tomorrow. This is kind of the start of it. The low pressure system is well to the north. The main tornadic activity is out closer to the cold front today, out in the central plains. So we're not really in the most favorable spot for a lot of wind shear. You like to be a little bit closer to the low. You do like to have the cold front for some extra forcing nearby. But I would say that ultimately that's allowing for the better severe weather risk to be more so in the central plains today. After the front line, are we clear for severe weather? Yes, I would agree with that. I would say that once the leading edge arrives for your area, beyond that, you should be clear from a severe weather standpoint, just heavy rain and lightning. Haven't had a white Christmas in Terre Haute since 2010. You know, Matt left me alone, and so it was only a matter of time before I got into the winter weather forecast. Maybe I'll add a slide in the webinar. If you all sign up for the webinar, Hope, if you'll put the webinar link in the comments, if you'll sign up for the webinar, bamwx.com/webinar, maybe I will add a note about winter in the webinar on Wednesday. That's at 11 a.m. You can sign up for free. You can watch after the fact if you can't make it live. Columbus, Indiana, rain and storms approaching right now. Primarily just a rain and a lightning risk. I still have some stronger wind gusts down here towards Bloomington. Would be curious if the Monroe County Airport is observing anything. Indy Airport only reported, it looks like 30 miles an hour. So didn't pack much of a punch over the airport there. Bloomington, I'm looking right now. I'm not seeing any observations of strong wind gusts, but worth keeping an eye on there. Lindsay, you're going to have to help me. Red Key. Where exactly is Red Key? I'm not familiar with Red Key. Greenfield getting pummeled right now. Yep. And going to continue to just see heavy rain the rest of the evening, really. Let's see here. For Newcastle, guys, I think it's going to be very challenging to get anything in the rest of the night. If we take a look at the sim radar here, we'll zoom in. you can see just continuing to deal with on and off storms. I think it's a washout this evening for softball. Let's see here. Red Key is in Jay County, Portland. It is a small town on highway. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've gotten most of my central Indiana counties down over the years, or counties and cities down, but there's always a couple that I still learn. So now I know Red Key, just southwest of Portland there. Storms are on your doorstep right now. Maybe some gusty winds. We take a look at the velocity scan here. Could be some gusty winds. These are a little bit higher in the clouds. The Fort Wayne radar may be more realistic from a wind standpoint here. We'll zoom in. Yeah, maybe some 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts, but I don't see anything substantial for Red Key. Just a lot of heavy rain and lightning. Taking the latest look here at the velocity scans, I do see a 60 mile per hour scan here. That would be heading towards Markville. If we zoom in here, this is right along East 1100 North. East 1100 North is where potentially the strongest winds, kind of along Pendleton Avenue. And this is heading again out towards Markville. So some elevated wind gusts, 50 to 60 miles per hour, going to be possible in here as this pushes further off to the east. So this one storm, not a whole lot else going on right now, but this one storm just hanging on in terms of it staying a little bit stronger compared to some of the surrounding storms right now. Has Bloomington's threat of flooding regressed at all? No, I don't think so. In fact, from what I'm seeing right now for Bloomington, you're just right in the bullseye. Look at the stream of extremely heavy rain coming in. The latest data, so this latest model that just came in, you can see widespread heavy rain. That one's not in all the way yet, so that's not a great representation, but I would say very high probability of flooding issues this evening in the Bloomington area. If you look at the run-to-run changes, pretty consistent signal for this corridor to see some very heavy rain in here. We also already have, just to their north, already have flood warnings in effect. So as the activity continues to kind of bleed south with time, we'll likely just continue to see the flood warnings get worse and more widespread. We can also look at the flash flood guidance, and these yellow shaded areas is where we would be most concerned right now of flooding actively ongoing or happening. And we can see several flash flood warnings that are in effect in this corridor right now. So what we'll be keeping an eye on, our team will be keeping an eye to see where the flash flood guidance enhances over the next couple of hours or increases. And our team will be keeping an eye to see if there's any flood warnings that are needed as we progress throughout the rest of the evening hours. We do have a new strong, or actually, no, that's an old strong storm statement. My apologies. That one's actually about to expire. Just the severe thunderstorm warning here that goes for the next 30 minutes. My girlfriend said it's getting at her work in Ellettsville. How's it looking for us? Just a lot of heavy rain and lightning, maybe some gusty winds for Ellettsville, 30 to 40 miles an hour. I would say at this point, Cambridge City, the threat is very, very low. Let me double check exactly where you're at there to make sure I'm correct in that, and it's not just zero, but it's low across the board. Yeah, it's a low threat. I wouldn't 100% rule it out, but I think that it's very, very low at this time. Thunder in Shelby, Tucky. A lot of lightning and thunder with this activity. Bedford, most of this activity right now passing to your north, but we will see more of this fill in. You're kind of in a spot, you're right on the edge right now, but maybe over the next hour or two, the worst of this stays to your north. So right now, guys, just keeping an eye on the severe thunderstorm warning right now. Markleville, Kinnard, Knightstown, Carthage. Those are the areas right now in the path of this storm. You can see the strongest of the winds that I have timed out here will be arriving shortly. They're over you in Markerville and points to the west right now. So damaging wind gusts, the main risk here with this severe thunderstorm. Soccer game, 6 p.m., no. Likely still dealing with very heavy rain across the area. Cheyenne, I am not familiar with that, with the Joplin tornado. I'm not sure. Brownstown, probably over the next, based off what I'm seeing on radar, over the next hour or so, you're probably seeing storms stay west, probably closer to 6 or 7 o'clock, things fill in a little bit more consistently. Drive from Speedway to Whiteland was terrible, scattered, flooded roads, plenty, be careful out there. So right now, main severe thunderstorm warning right here, just east of Indy. We take a look at the velocities. Still some decent signatures for 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts in here, I would say. That is about to move across, let's see here, South Rangeline Road. And then through Pendleton, just southeast of Pendleton here. Would be curious if there's any reports kind of in the Pendleton area, Ingalls, Fortville, as this activity moved through. So our northeast Indiana severe thunderstorm warnings have also expired. So we just have one strong storm statement here in western portions of Ohio. That includes Salina, Greenville, and into the Coldwater areas. And then we have the one severe thunderstorm warning. And outside of that, we don't even have any strong storm statements at this point. A lot of flood warnings having been issued. If I take a look just real quick and see what some of the radar indicated rain totals are looking like, I bet there's been quite a bit that it's already been picked up on radar here. So looking here at the office, I mean, there's some indications that an inch of rain has already fallen. That's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. Northwestern portions of Monroe County, 3 inches of rain already, and we have a long way to go. There could be some areas that end up with half a foot of rain or more when all is said and done tonight. In fact, looking out to the west, closer to Clay City and Center Point, radar would indicate maybe 4 inches of rain having already fallen. So some really, really heavy rainfall totals already setting up across the area. Illinois, too, I'm seeing some pockets of 5 inches near Louisville, Illinois. So just a lot of very heavy rain going to be the theme for the rest of the night. If we put the radar into motion here, we can just see storms continuing to file in across the area as we go throughout this afternoon and evening. Humidity is down compared to noon earlier. It was muggy. Yep, getting some of that rain-cooled air in. All right, let me do another big timer on the main line itself. We'll give you all kind of one final update, assuming that they don't extend the severe thunderstorm warning. Right now, I think it's still valid that it's there, but we'll do one final update in terms of just general timing west to east across the area, and we'll start to wrap this up. So Let's do this. And it probably won't go that far into Ohio. It'll start to weaken a little bit, but all right. So Salem 625, Austin 630, Seymour 525. Based off of that, again, I think the southwest side is at risk to be a little slower. Rushville, it's on your doorstep, 422. So there in the next 15 minutes. Winchester, you are looking to see arrival at 411, so it's right on your doorstep as well. Going back down, Cincinnati, somebody asked about Cincinnati earlier. That would be closer to 7:45 p.m. based off the latest trends for Cincinnati. Rain gauge in Fishers, Indiana shows 1 inch of rain already. Dayton 629, Hamilton, Ohio 641. A lot of this activity likely staying north of the Louisville metro area. So if there's going to be an area this evening where you've got some time to get outside, it's going to be this area through here before these storms start to fill in. Eventually, they will likely start to fill in. Let's see. Why in this situation is the atmosphere not convectively contaminated or worked over for new development? That's a great question. That's a fantastic question. There's a couple of reasons. Let me back this out and I will show you. So, number one, we have a very strong low-level jet. So let me go back to the current setup into tomorrow, or into, excuse me, this evening. So we had an outflow boundary from the morning storm setup draped across right through here. And then we have a very strong low-level jet through here. And so you're getting lift along that boundary, persistent convergence of the winds, your low-level jet from southwest to northeast, and the boundary kind of trying to push to the south. And then on top of that, you just have enough instability hanging around aloft, not necessarily surface-based at this point, but all the orange colors you see indicate still some instability, which means that just enough with the convergence there that you can get continual storm development. And then on top of that, the issue is your winds aloft in the mid part of the atmosphere are parallel right along this boundary. And so you get convergence along that boundary. You have just enough instability and you get those storms to redevelop over and over and over, kind of on the south side of that boundary where the low-level jet is. And it's why we've got all of this heavy rain setting up along the I-70 corridor right now. Any weakening as it moves east? Let's take a look here at the latest severe thunderstorm warning. Has not been expanded. We do have a new strong storm statement for 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That includes Yorktown and Muncie. So 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts in the Muncie area right now. We'll take a look at some of the latest velocity scans. Still showing some gusts in here. Now we're getting a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, but still showing some wind gusts potential of 60 miles an hour, I would say. No, I don't know, Bruce, what you're talking about in terms of perfect tornado ingredients, but today is definitely not perfect tornado ingredients. So guys, again, I want to continue to remind you all, scan the QR code in the top left to get our updates as we go throughout the evening. As this last severe storm starts to wind down, we will probably end the live stream here. The severe threat in general, I would say lowering across the board. The main risk, in my opinion, as we go throughout the rest of the evening, going to be very heavy rain and flash flooding concerns, especially Terre Haute, Bloomington, probably out towards Greenwood, Plainfield, Indy, And then out towards Effingham, Illinois, going to be a concern. I think eventually some of that heavier rain can bleed south to include more areas like Bedford and Seymour and Columbus as we go later on into this evening. Oh, thank you, Dee Dee. That's so kind. I appreciate it. Yep, Storm 20. Storm 20 for 20% off. Our team will be sending out updates as we go again throughout the rest of the evening, with heavy rain and lightning being the biggest concern overall. But we still have that strong storm statement, that one severe thunderstorm warning, producing some strong wind gusts. Be curious as this has passed Fortville and Pendleton if there's any wind damage reports out there. I assume, Letha, and I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong, if you're talking about Ohio. I assume Lewisburg, Ohio. Let's see. I know where you're at here. You're closer to Dayton. There you are. Lewisburg, Ohio, arrival time 5:38 p.m., but likely will be weakening some as it pushes towards you. I do not think at this point there's a tornado risk. I would say that we're good, especially if you're in this big blob of rain. I think we're good from a tornado standpoint. Do you think the warning will extend to Newcastle? I kind of suspect they may drop the warning in favor of a strong storm statement. We're getting pretty elevated at this point with what some of the velocity signatures are showing. It's a close call. I think that they probably issue a strong storm statement for 55-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Regardless, 55-mile-per-hour wind gusts, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, at that point, it's not that much of a difference. There's still going to be the risk for some tree limbs down, maybe a localized power outage, but I don't expect that necessarily it's going to be 70 miles an hour or anything like that. But it wouldn't shock me if they extend it. I think it's somewhere between 55 and 60 miles an hour. The threshold's 58, so you're right on that line. So I saw in here earlier that Hope had said that Alexander Rossi with Ed Carpenter Racing was going to the hospital from a crash at the race today. Certainly hope that he is okay. Our thoughts and prayers with him. I know a lot of people around the area, of course, keeping a close eye on the Indy 500, and we work with a lot of the teams there. So really hope that he is okay. Wishing for the best there. Matt's here.
I'm back.
How long have you been sitting there?
Literally not even a minute.
So I have Spidey-like reflexes.
You do.
Spidey senses. Well,
Brett, you put on a hat?
I did. Michael gave me this hat because I said the hats look really nice. I want one, and so he.
Yeah, but you're covering up your hair.
Well,
which is,
I know people want
you
to.
got the best hair in the biz, man.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much of it I have left in 10 years' time.
Well, join the club, man.
I gotta take the sticker off.
What's good, Brett?
Matt, I was starting to wrap things up.
Okay.
We've got two main areas we're keeping an eye on. Just this severe thunderstorm near Markville and Kennard. I'm seeing some signs on the reflectivity of some weakening. The velocity is still showing maybe some wind gusts of 60 miles an hour, but I was also mentioning that we're getting a little bit further away from the radar, and they did what I thought they were going to do, which was a strong storm statement for 50 miles an hour instead of 60. So at this point, this is really the main area of potential strong storms, I would say, this little corridor in here.
Yep.
West of that, Indy, Franklin, Plainfield, Danville, Greencastle, Cloverdale, you name it. It's just heavy rain.
Yeah, and obviously into Eastern Michigan still looks pretty solid up there too, Brett.
Yes, we've been going back and forth with this. This rain is moving. These rain and storms are really packing a punch, just in terms of both the intensity, but also the speed. They're moving at about 70 miles an hour.
That makes sense to me. Any 60 plus, yeah, I see Flint's 70-mile-per-hour warning. You've got
Most of these have been 70.
Nice.
Lansing was warned for 80 earlier.
I saw that. Yep.
Really, most of these on the northern edge are still warned for 70 miles an hour. And we will need to watch Detroit, Toledo. You're now under severe thunderstorm warning as well. These are for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So Toledo to Detroit still going to deal with some strong to severe storms as this activity is moving eastward.
Well, Brett, it looks like our for folks who've been watching a while, are thinking with southeastern Indiana kind of struggling to get there, like further off north and west. It seems like that's panning out. But to me, Brett, and maybe you've already talked about this, it's probably going to be hard to get more prolific severe weather this evening as far as on the southern edge. But flooding certainly, in full force right now, it seems.
Yeah, we can already see some areas here that have picked up 3-4 inches of rain, even just southwest of Indy, just south of Brazil, Center Point. I bet there's definitely some pretty decent flooding ongoing, and we still have a long way to go.
Right.
Latest run of the HRRR. Let's see if it has a clue. It's probably okay. Tries to get it out a little bit faster than the past run, but puts down, another 1 to 3 inches. Southern Indiana, Southwest Indiana here. So
and then it looks like, Brett, the threat for some AM storms, regardless.
Yes. I do think, and that's something that data has trended a little bit more aggressive with. So somebody was asking earlier about why there wasn't so much of a tornado risk with this. And one of the reasons is because your main low is well to the west. But we do lift in a warm front. And as we lift in a warm front, probably we'll have some scattered activity, some scattered storms. Wouldn't be shocked if it's a little bit more pronounced than that. And then the big question is what happens with this wave out to the west? Data weakening it, which would open the door for more storm development in the afternoon tomorrow. I don't love this progression of this particular model, if I'm being completely honest. I think data's struggling a little bit tomorrow. You can see, you click around on all different data, it's kind of all over the place. But I think the bottom line is, and I'm going to check this model because it actually did the best today. That may be more reasonable. We are going to see hit or miss storms fire off as we work into tomorrow afternoon and evening. I would say primary time frame 3 to 8 p.m., maybe 3 to 9 p.m. This model is a little bit slower. Initial activity starting to fire off at 3 o'clock. Main severe weather risk through 9 o'clock, and then becoming more of a rain risk as we go throughout tomorrow night.
That seems not completely unreasonable. I think what models need to get a handle on first is any cloud cover that lingers in the morning, right? And then how they handle the next group of storms that move into Illinois, and where does that outflow boundary, where does it set up shop getting into the afternoon hours of tomorrow? And then we still have the cold front and the speed and timing of the cold front out north and west.
Yep.
It's one of those, just looking at the modeling, at this distance, they're all, you look at a different model, you're going to see a little bit of a different solution. So it's a setup that I know models are going to struggle with some of those specific details. But I think, Brett, as a general idea, what we just looked at, probably a good general takeaway from the forecast getting into tomorrow. Brett, you've looked at this forecast a little bit more detail than I have in terms of tomorrow, but it looked like the tornado threat was again very low tomorrow.
Yeah, we looked at that a little earlier, just because the wind shear is just not there, especially in the low levels of the atmosphere.
I was
There's
noting the
just,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah, there's just not. There's six. So I like to, for those of you that are a little bit more proficient in reading these, this is just a look at a glance at the whole atmosphere from the surface, temperatures, wind, dew point, all the way up to the tropopause and into the stratosphere. And I like to see 30 knots of wind shear in the low levels of the atmosphere to produce tornadoes, and we have 6 tomorrow. However, Matt, I would say wind potentially, just maybe even from an outflow standpoint, and maybe some hail. I don't think is
Yeah.
out of the question.
Brett,
Crazy.
in terms of I was mentioning this to our newest intern today is going over the forecast. And in my opinion, Brett, in terms of from a hail perspective, tomorrow looks a little bit better for hail than what today looked like, in my opinion. Just looking at so there's a lot you can diagnose on these forecast soundings, and one of them is the what we call lapse rate. So the temperature difference of one level versus higher up in the atmosphere, and where you see the temperature difference really decline with height, that's suggestive of a strong lapse rate, and it's one of the indicators we look at as a forecaster to determine if there's a threat for hail. It just seems to be a little bit better tomorrow, Brett, versus what it did today.
I agree.
In terms of those lapse rates. And should be plenty of instability tomorrow, Brett, as well. And I don't know, it just has a little bit more of a hail threat getting into tomorrow, in addition to the strong winds.
Yeah.
As well.
I 100% agree. We are on the same page with that.
Good.
Before we go, because that last severe warning was dropped, we have a strong storm statement in Muncie. That expires in 7 minutes. Another one here that expires in 37 minutes near Mount Summit. So we'll probably start to wrap this up. You can see all the green shaded areas, the big corridor of flooding, flash flooding risks that are setting up. That will probably continue over the next several hours. And then I did want to give, this is the latest GFS, so it's certainly not the be all end all, but I wanted to give an idea for the weekend for those of you that are still watching, just very quickly, because Indy 500, Carb Day, as we work into Friday. Friday is going to be a difficult day, especially in the afternoon. Probably going to be some widespread rain around the area.
Does it look severe though, Friday?
Does not look severe Friday, or really Saturday for that matter. Now, this new run is trying to clear things out Saturday and Sunday afternoon and evening, kind of after 5
It's got a few pop-ups Sunday.
Yeah. You can see 2 o'clock there, and then it tries to push it out. So if it could push that out faster.
Do I remember correct, Brett, that this latest run of the GFS we're looking at doesn't seem as aggressive as previous runs?
It does not look like it to me, Matt. And it's still got plenty of rain, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got the short term, you've got Friday, right? Saturday.
This is the AIFS. So it may be a timing thing. It seems like there's a wave that clears out Saturday afternoon and evening. And then there's another wave into Sunday morning. So it's just going to be a matter of how quick we can get the Sunday morning, early afternoon wave to exit in terms of the more widespread rains here. And then Memorial Day. The Euro, I noticed, was quite a bit further south on Memorial Day. So we're getting a little bit far out at this point. But bottom line, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we might have some rain issues, but it doesn't look like strong to severe storms with this type of a setup.
No, and Brett, I'm kind of looking behind the scenes a little bit. It seems the Euro almost seems like an outlier at this point when I look at the Canadian GFS from a upper level forcing perspective. Of note, I'm looking at a chart called the 500 vorticity. I think Sunday offers up the greatest wiggle room at this distance. I feel pretty good, Brett, about rain Friday and Saturday. That seems
like
we are going to deal with that. Sunday's a little bit more up for air or up.
Sunday, Monday,
for
there's
grabs.
some wiggle room.
Yeah.
Northward extent on Monday is probably the question, and Sunday is the timing. So, bottom line, it'll be busy for the 500 teams.
Yep. I agree.
Well, Matt, one last note, be sure to scan that QR code in the top left, 20% off. Don't miss it. Storm 20 at checkout. You can get 20% off. And then again, as if you missed it earlier, if you do the premium subscription, the home premium subscription for the BAM Weather app, we will have one lucky winner win one of these awesome hats that Michael so kindly offered. So that being said, Matt, that's all that I have. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in tonight. If you have the ability in the BAM Weather app to message and you've got some questions after we get off, please use it. We've got folks who are going to be 24/7, 365 around the clock. So we're always around to answer your questions if you have the ability to do so. But again, I appreciate everyone joining. And just if you're in the area Brett and I have talked about for flash flooding, be very, very aware of that. If you have to drive around tonight or perhaps even getting into tomorrow for just some nasty flooding that could set up. So that's all I have, Brett.
All right, guys. Well, stay safe tonight. Turn around, don't drown, especially when it gets dark. A foot of water can sweep away a car, a foot of moving water. So I want to take that very seriously. And you may hear from us again tomorrow for additional strong to severe storm potential. And then maybe you'll have a couple of days of a break from us on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll see if we're back for the weekend, but I think it's more of a rain threat for your Memorial Day weekend right now. So, guys, that's all that we have. Appreciate your support so much, and we will